Gavin Newsom got caught lying again. I'm not surprised by that. Trump drops the receipts, and L.A. riots just got worse for the Democrats. You see, Newsom said Trump never called him, not once, not even a voicemail. But what happens when the dictator they warned you about brings the call log, y'all?
Between Gavin Newsom and President Trump. Gavin Newsom, after President Trump said in the noon hour in the Oval Office that he called him yesterday or the other day, Gavin Newsom tweeted the following. He said, quote, "There was no call. Not even a voicemail. Americans should be alarmed that a president deploying Marines on our streets doesn't even know who he's talking to." Well, President Trump contacted me from Air Force One on his way to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where he'll be in just a little while. He said the first call to Gavin Newsom was not picked up. The second call Gavin picked up. We spoke for 16 minutes. I told him to essentially, quote, and this is quoting the president, "get his ass in gear and stop the riots, which were out of control more than anything else. This shows what a liar he is. Said I never called." So here is the evidence. And here is the call log that the president sent me from his phone. This was June the 7th. Now, granted, this was on Saturday. But look, there's 1:22 o'clock in the morning. Which would have been 10 o'clock at night, 10:22 at night, California time. There was an outgoing call for 4 seconds. And then there was an outgoing call for 16 minutes. So that from the president, which says is proof that he spoke to Gavin Newsom early in the morning, our time, late at night, Friday night, would have been June 6th, I guess, in Los Angeles. So, Governor, over to you for the response. I was going to say
that's next, right? We're waiting to see what if Governor Newsom has a response to the president's. Essentially, what he has there is the receipt for what he says is the call that was made in the long conversation. Yeah, exactly. In a 16-minute conversation. As you mentioned, as things were heating up is the timing of that call, as things were really just beginning to get started. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes.
Yeah, as the president.
Trump is really that guy. I'm telling y'all. And everything he does is strategic. He has some sort of level of strategy behind any move he makes. Because I'm saying, in one move, Trump exposed not only the law, but the media's entire playbook. And it's just the beginning. That was perfect, man. Send a screenshot. Unfortunately, we know a lot of people don't go digging for the facts. But while Gavin was out here pretending he missed the call, let me show you what leadership looked like when L.A. actually burned.
One is the urgent need to restore order. What followed Wednesday's jury verdict in the Rodney King case was a tragic series of events for the city of Los Angeles. Nearly 4,000 fires, staggering property damage, hundreds of injuries, and the senseless deaths of over 30 people. To restore order right now, there are 3,000 National Guardsmen on duty in the city of Los Angeles. Another 2,200 stand ready to provide immediate support. To supplement this effort, I've taken several additional actions. First, this morning I've ordered the Justice Department to dispatch 1,000 federal riot-trained law enforcement officials to help restore order in Los Angeles, beginning tonight. These officials include FBI SWAT teams, special riot control units of the U.S. Marshals Service, the Border Patrol, and other federal law enforcement agencies. Second, another 1,000 federal law enforcement officials are on standby alert should they be needed. Third, early today, I directed 3,000 members of the 7th Infantry and 1,500 Marines to stand by at El Toro Air Station, California. Tonight, at the request of the governor and the mayor, I have committed these troops to help restore order. I'm also federalizing the National Guard, and I'm instructing General Colin Powell to place all those troops under a central command.
As this post suggests, it's not unprecedented. Trump is not a dictator. In 1992, L.A. was on fire after the Rodney King verdict. But President George Bush at the time, he obviously didn't hesitate. He sent the National Guard, the Army, and the Marines, obviously, into the streets. Now, this isn't a deep dive into who he is and his past and like that. But back then, they called it restoring order. But now, oh, my gosh. But now when Trump does it, it's suddenly dictatorship, y'all. Same city, same playbook, different party. And now they want to rewrite history. Here's Trump. No panic, no rants. just explaining the law like a commander-in-chief.
Insurrection, I would certainly invoke it. We'll see. But I can tell you last night was terrible. The night before that was terrible. We have, as you've seen, it was on most of your networks, people with big, heavy hammers pounding the concrete and pounding curbs, pounding it, breaking up, and handing these big chunks of concrete to people. And they were taking that concrete, going up on bridges and dropping it into the roof of a car. They were throwing it at our police. They were throwing it at our soldiers that are there. And we got it stopped, and we have them in custody right now. Look, if we didn't get involved, right now, Los Angeles would be burning, just like it was burning a number of months ago with all the houses that were lost. Los Angeles right now would be on fire, and we have it in great shape. We're not playing around.
How will you determine whether or not there is an insurrection?
Well, you'll take a look at what's happening. I mean, I could tell you there were certain areas of Los Angeles that you could have called it an insurrection. It was terrible. But these are paid insurrectionists. These are paid troublemakers. They get money.
Definitely. And if you watch my very last video, we proved to you guys that they are being paid. However, if you keep watching further, I do have a video to kind of lift some of the conspiracy off of it and make it more of a fact. But this is exactly what I was looking forward to in terms of leadership. You have President Trump coming in and saying, hey, the city could be burning just like it was just a little while ago when Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass failed the city again. However, he has to deploy troops and Marines and anybody whom is supposed to be in a position to get everything to restore order. I'm sorry, y'all over here a little flabbergasted. But because when a president, starts holding the line, local officials start shifting blame. And if there's an insurrection, I'll invoke it, is what he says. That's not tyranny. That's literally the job. And that's exactly why they panicked. I'm serious, man. When you got the president holding you accountable, now they start shifting blame into Karen Bass.
But the real solution of all of this is for the administration to stop the raids. We have heard that these raids might take place for the next 30 days. We don't know how many are going to take place in a given day. And you just think about the disruption to families and the disruption to our local economy. But the real solution...
Yeah, I'm with Trump on the Insurrection Act. She said the solution wasn't law enforcement. It was stopping the ICE raids. In other words, enforce the law and her city will riot? Is that what I just got from that? That isn't leadership. It sounds like extortion to me. Obey the federal law and the local government threatens unrest. And somehow we're supposed to believe Trump's the problem. Well, Newsom, he tried to play legal savior, filed a federal complaint to block Trump's actions. But that didn't go the way he planned either, y'all.
Denied the state of California's request to stop Trump from using the California National Guard to keep the peace and keep order during these protests. CNN's Elena Treen is at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where President Trump is speaking. And Elena, that's a big development, the judge denying California's request. Tell us about that, and tell us what the president has been saying in his Fort Bragg speech.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge deal for the president here and his administration. And we heard just moments ago.
Denied the state of...
Federal judge shut it down fast. California said stop Trump from deploying troops, and the court said absolutely not. Because when the streets are on fire, man, no amount of media spin can override the Constitution. I'm sorry, I was finna say construction. I'm over here malfunctioning, y'all. And just to show you how insane this is getting, while the state fumbled, guess who stepped in to keep the peace, y'all? Right now it says the Chicano, I don't know how to say this, but the gang declares riot-free zone. I can't play the audio from this, y'all, so some music playing, but let me go ahead. I can at least make it bigger so y'all can see what's going on. Compton's street gang. I don't want to keep messing up the name, but no, seriously. They said no riots here or else. That should have been the city's job, though, right? Instead, you got the streets out here policing themselves. Meanwhile, the protest organizers finally realized their biggest enemy wasn't Trump. Guess what it was, y'all? It's the camera.
Are you going to help those American flags? We got rid of all of them when they started coming. We were sitting ducks here, so we.
How many did you guys be able to?
Oh wait.
I think we got 5 or 6 out.
If you ask the Subaru right there,
but they're not put together.
Oh, they're not put together.
Not put together.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that was a good idea.
Right.
We're gonna bring them back out.
We're gonna bring them back out after.
Yeah. We might be back out in an hour.
Yeah.
They're marching from this. They're gonna start coming this way.
I think that was a good idea after yesterday.
Yes.
But anyway, thank you guys.
Right on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Where'd you get the American flag? Wait, where? You just had it to me because I was on top. It's like a random guy. Oh, all right. Thanks. Excuse me. I was looking for these flags. Where did you get this? Around the corner they have a bench. Okay. Oh, are they just giving them out? Yeah.
After days of waving Mexican flags while burning U.S. ones, they suddenly pulled out fresh folded American flags like it's a prop. This isn't rather patriotism. This is rebranding. The narrative wasn't losing ground, so they dressed it up. I'm sorry, it was losing ground. And if you thought this was all spontaneous, organic outrage, if you will, Trump had something to say about that too. All right.
Stomp on them, but they're too tough. They don't allow it. And attempting to infiltrate and occupy federal buildings wearing armor and face shields. The best money can buy, somebody's financing it. We're going to find out through Pam Bondi and Department of Justice who it is. They're already on it. Who's financing all this equipment? Very professional. Under the Trump administration, this anarchy will not stand. We will not allow federal agents to be attacked, and we will not allow an American city to be invaded and conquered by a foreign enemy. And that's what they are. A lot of those people were let in here by the Biden administration. They just poured right in. They came from prisons. They came from jails. From all to stomp on them, but they...
At Fort Bragg, Trump said the quiet part out loud. These riots aren't just angry mobs. They're funded. Come on now, look. I'm just saying, Trump's been right about a lot. They called everything he said a conspiracy. I'm just saying. But armored shields, tactical coordination, somebody's paying for it. Somebody throwing some dollars at it. And under Trump, they're about to FAFO. I'm going to let y'all know right now, they're about to FAFO. My screen is going crazy right now. I don't know what just happened. Hold on. My fault, y'all. It's lightning and thundering and doing all the other stuff. My screen just went blank and all the other good stuff. But again, they're about to find out who. And guess what? We already have a name.
Just found a really great deep dive here from the Data Republican on X. So who is behind all these crazy riots in LA and that will be across the nation? Just like, remember, in the Summer of Love with BLM, remember who's organizing all that stuff? With this specifically is being funded by an individual by the name of Neville Singham, who actually made his money by pushing communist Chinese propaganda, became a billionaire doing it. He's now funding, and the guy behind all of these protests was also behind and tied to the protests at Columbia University, pushing all of that BS, if you don't remember. And then also, too, if you actually look at the social organization that's putting out these flyers, it's the Party for Socialism and Liberation which is, and I kid you not, the actual Communist Party. So they're using Hispanics, they're using illegal immigrants, they're trying to hype people up thinking that they care, but they don't care. They would stop illegal immigration. Obama deported people. Why all of a sudden now? It's political.
How you said this? Neville, Singham, a billionaire, CCP linked, allegedly backing the chaos in LA and even protests at Columbia. They not just attacking cities, man. They attacking the system with foreign money and political cover. But here's the part the media really doesn't want to talk about, and it's backfiring. I mean, bad.
Start off on the fact that immigrant citizens, immigrant voters, foreign-born voters have gone tremendously to the right on this issue in 2024 and 2025 versus where they were in 2020. Closest to or trust more in immigration. You go back to 2020. Democrats, get this, held a 32-point lead on this issue. Immigrant voters were in the Democratic camp. Jump forward to 2024, 2025. Look at that shift, a 40-point shift to the right among immigrant voters. Republicans now lead on this issue by 8 points over Democrats, more so than any other group that I could find. The group of voters who became more hawkish on immigration were in fact immigrants themselves, immigrants who are registered to vote in this country.
So that's on that issue. How about how they feel about kind of traditionally, historically about Donald Trump?
Yeah. So, you see this shift and you go, what is going on underneath the hood? Well, take a look, Donald Trump. You remember when he first ran back in 2016, immigrant voters were one of his weakest spots. But look at this. Trump's vote share in presidential elections among, again, immigrant citizens, those who are registered to vote. Look at this. In 2016, he got 36% of the vote. You go to 2020, 39% of the vote. Look at this. In 2024, all the way up to 47% of the vote. Some polls I looked at had him barely losing that vote. Some polls I looked at had him barely winning that vote. Again, there is no block of voters that shifted more to the right from 2020 to 2024 than immigrant voters, and Donald Trump, at least in some surveys, actually won that vote. On average, it's about equal. So there may be all this stuff, right, about undocumented immigrants and Trump being harsh on them, but immigrant voters themselves have increasingly liked Donald Trump and have increasingly moved to the right on immigration and into the Republican camp.
Well, then on that, what you're getting at, how immigrant citizens, voters, feel about people in the country illegally.
Yeah, and this is where it all kind of comes together, Kate Baldwin. Look at this. The net favorable rating, immigrants who are here illegally, among immigrant citizens, again, those registered to vote. In 2020, look at this, plus 23 points on the net favorable rating. But look at where we were in 2024, minus 6 points, underwater. So immigrant citizens have become increasingly unfavorable in their views of those immigrants who are here illegally. So I think it's so important when we're talking about this debate from a political angle to separate those out who are undocumented immigrants versus those who are here legally and those who are citizens and those who are voters, because that group of voters has felt increasingly distant from those immigrants who are here legally. And so again, when we're talking about this, at least from a political angle, this is why Donald Trump feels so comfortable, because in fact, amongst the group that you would think that would be most opposed to this, in fact, they become increasingly favorable, not just towards Donald Trump, but towards a Republican point of view on immigration and becoming distant from those immigrants who are here illegally.
Yeah, an important baseline to consider as this plays out.
Yes, we'll see where we are in a few weeks.
Yeah, thanks so much, Harry.
Now, according to CNN's own data, legal immigrants are turning away from the Democrats. Hard. They followed the rules. They waited, they turned, and now they're watching Democrats reward lawlessness and call it justice. I don't blame them. I'll be pissed off, too. A 40-point shift to the right? Sheesh. So Gavin Newsom lied. The media gaslit you. The riots are funded. And the American people are waking up, y'all. Y'all be safe. Go check on somebody today. Quite literally be saving their life. Peace.